there's several different ways to approach employee development as you go through. Let's look at some of them. Formal education programs are really common in the process out there. A lot of times, employers create funds, money set aside for a department or a division or all employees to sit down there and take advantage of. It really helps the employer on multiple levels as you go through. A, you're helping the employee. Two, you're grooming your workforce for the future. And you know what? You will lose people sometimes that get a degree. If they've never had a bachelor's degree and all of a sudden they have it and they see an opportunity, they might leave. If they're going for a graduate degree, they might leave with that degree and it costs you money in the process. There's different ways to build the program. You have a reimbursable expense if they leave within 2 years. There's different methodologies to do that as an employer, but really it helps you to build your employees. It gives them a sense of confidence. It gives them also a sense of support that you are helping them pursue their dreams in the process. For really the employee, it really gives them a perspective that you are supporting them. Sometimes the education program may not be a degree. Sometimes it's a matter of trying to get a certification. I know I'm a college professor and we believe that the thing that we do is the best thing on planet Earth. Yeah, it probably is. But that being said, there's certifications that really sit down and help you focus in on that certain specific area of knowledge or this one in the process as you go through. Try to dabble into multiple ways to sit down there and add items to your resume as you go through. I have to tell you, the first job I had and what ended up being my biggest career pathway as a chief human resource officer, I never worked a day in human resources until I became a vice president. I was a business guy as you go through. I just happen to have a knack for negotiating things and getting people to do things and how to calm down grievances as you go through. Those are natural skills that I carried, but my whole background was finance and money as you go through. And frankly, I really like doing that. I just happen to like the people equation so much better in the process. I got my degree because I pursued getting my doctorate as you go through. By the time it was all done, that was a major criteria for my boss. She wanted to have all of her vice presidents to sit down and have a doctorate. And so by golly, that was one of the reasons, but also the recommendation of a committee of 23, every single one voted for me to sit down and get that VP job as you go through. You know, that formal education is a big thing as you go through on your resume. It opens doors that would be closed to you at other times as you go through. Certifications can also do that because you have specific knowledge and people like to have that expert power as you go through. So pursue certifications, pursue degrees as you go through. There's a whole series you see over here of coaching, mentoring as you go through, leadership forums. There's all kinds of community leadership programs as you go through. I'm a big advocate for like Leadership Oakland, Leadership Coachella Valley, Leadership Los Angeles, all kinds of different programs like that as you go through that really give you credibility outside of your organization as well and develop your connection in the community. So there's a lot of different types of education. I always like to recommend that people pursue a lot of different things, trying to better themselves and trying to increase the different items on your resume as you go through. Assessment, sometimes you assess people who are managerial potential. Sometimes you look for people that can be executives. And a lot of times when it comes down to work teams, look on the strengths and weaknesses as you go through, see how they communicate, especially on committees as you go through. And that really helps them because a lot of our work today really is about committees. A lot of leaders do more than just giving orders out there because of the fact the world has changed. Leaders now are much more coaches trying to encourage people on a regular basis. Instead of an annual evaluation, we're going so much more to having a regular assessment as you go through on a regular basis, sometimes once a month, just on a casual meeting as you go through, how are things going, and have that process. That's communication style, and communication is a big thing to make certain there's mutual understanding as you go through. Here's a couple things on the Myers-Briggs. The Myers-Briggs test has 16 different personality types. The one thing that you'll find over here is Myers-Briggs has positive and negatives. Here's the positive and here's the negatives. We had an area in psychology called positive psychology. It really saw its heyday beginning back in the mid-90s as you go through. And so now It's not good or bad. It's just who the person really is. But sometimes who the person really is, they have some rough areas in the process. Myers-Briggs points that out. Now, the other one out there, we call it Strength Quest and Strength Finder. I also think that's a phenomenal tool to have. What that does, it identifies out of 34 different major personality types, identifies the top 5 that you have in the process out there. I think it really is a fabulous tool. Both of these tools will help you to assess your personality as you go through. I encourage you as an individual to take them. It's not part of this course, it's part of your life. So where do you want to go in the process? So between these two, if you are uncertain on your career pathway, it takes a strong interest inventory. But these two tools here are really good. They will help you in your leadership style to develop it and refine it as you go through. A really good HR department is going to have some type of assessment center as you go through. Sometimes you sit down and have interviews, in basket things where you sit down for this potential job over here. Here's 7 things that this job does. Can you do them? How well can you do them? And sometimes you put a stopwatch on it as you go through. Role play. Put people in positions as they go through. At one time, I was on a committee for mock interviews. And I had this person, she was a dean and wanted to become a vice president of instruction. So she's going on and everything else. And I'm half falling asleep because she is all boring. We had 5 questions to ask her. On the 3rd question, she got excited. And I thought, why is she excited? And she got excited and everything else. And I probably said, stop! She sat there and she looked around and she was shocked because I was yelling at her and everything else. I said, how come you're so excited about this? She said, well, how do I get into it? I said, okay, now grab that excitement and go back to question number 1. We're going to ask you question number 1 again, and you bring that excitement back to question number 1. You know what? She brought that excitement back to question number 1, and all of a sudden she became a much better interview. And you know what? When she took that lesson out to her, the next job interview she got, she sat there and she got it because of the fact that mock interview, she realized I have to be exciting and engaged, and people will know it and hire me. And by golly, they did. She had a career, and I lost track of her after she became a college president, but she kept that excitement and focus as they went out there. And that's part of that assessment center process, part of that role play as you go through. So that being said, the 360-degree feedback system, I have to tell you, when I went through that a couple of times, it's a matter of everybody's scrutinizing you and you're waiting for somebody to stab you in the back, and sometimes they do. But that being said, you learn from that, and all of a sudden everybody walks on eggshells and treats people nicely because of the fact that person may be on their list to sit down and evaluate them. It was kind of nice for about 1.5 years. I even had to be nice in the process too. Oh my gosh. So that being said, performance appraisals are really good things in some ways, but you have to take them with a grain of salt as you go through as well. Understand strengths and weaknesses, really in the 360, identify a development goal, look at goal accomplishments, goal development. Formal education, here's my argument on it. If somebody else is paying for it, grab it and take it as you go through. Getting a master's degree or a doctorate degree in the process out there, it does open up doors in the process. And if the employer is willing to pay for it and contribute towards it, do it. If there's a certification out there and it'll make you look better and smarter, and it's something you enjoy in the process and makes your resume look better, I think you should grab it especially. Pursue assessments, your personal assessments out there. Discover your own strengths and weaknesses as you go through. As an employer, encourage your employees, give them opportunities to become better employees because they'll know that you are doing what you can to make them better. Test for self-development and use the 360-degree, maybe not every time, but maybe once every 3 to 5 years as you go through. Take care.